You live high above the keep in the hot air balloon. As always, I have Neindorf with me. I have Hubert with me here this afternoon. We're at permissionless, and I'm going to be setting the phone down. So you guys aren't going to get a real chance to see us live here, but it's going to be more of an audio only version of the podcast. We got a lot of great ideas of questions for Hubert here. So let's start kicking things off. So Hubert, how are you? Can you want to try talking through your mic here?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Hey guys, I'm good. I'm happy to be here and cool to see Neindorf for the first time, Raph for the second, and yeah.
All right, awesome. We're getting some thumbs up. You're gonna have to send me a chat message if you can't hear us, and I'll try to pay attention to that as much as I can. All right, so Neindorf has our list of questions. Let me go ahead and kick things off with, as we've been at the permissionless show, it feels like 30% of the people the first day, they have heard of DeFi Kingdoms before, and then we're kind of surprised that you guys survived and are still here. You've lived to tell the tale. That's quite a feat that you guys have pulled off. So I guess first off, your reaction to that.
I get it. There have been so many projects that have failed, over this bull market and everything that happened in the last couple of years. All the different hacks, everything. I'm somewhat surprised that we survived too, to be honest, because it got really hard for a bit there. But we lost a lot of team members too. So it really did kind of come down to the people that were willing to stick it out, to sacrifice a lot of their time to keep going with it. And I think we've really been kind of building up our momentum a lot since ever since the wisdom deal. I would say we really kind of found our direction. I became game director, and that since then I've kind of been pushing things in a specific direction more. So I feel there were periods of time where it was really bumpy. It was really bumpy. But
so basically, it seemed like having a lean, mean fighting team is what kind of keeps you guys through.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, everyone that's on the team is super talented. I mean, we had super talented people who left as well. I don't want to disparage anybody, but yeah, who we have now are very dedicated, very reliable, and we understand each other's strengths really well. So we're able to really jive together really well, I think.
Very nice. So yeah, is there any holes in the team that you're missing anything, or how are you feeling about your current composition?
I mean, I could always use more helpers. I think everyone could use more helpers so we could get more done, right?
Sure.
I don't really have. I do have some helpers that I give specific tasks to, but I don't have anyone that I can, say I want the design to be like this, and I need you to write all the requirements for it because I need to focus on this thing. I kind of for a second there, Zipper was doing that for me, but now he jumped on the front end stuff, and he's doing a great job there. So I don't want to try to pull him off of that. So
sounds like he's kind of been a decent utility player.
Yeah. Zipper is great. Just everything he does, he's really great attention to detail, and really even some of the things we did, the hunt raffle system is something that I coded, and it was one of my first little side projects in Solidity, and I pulled him to be like, hey, you and me, let's make this work. And so just me and Zipper together made that whole thing. So
very nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so at the last couple AMAs, Dreamer's been talking about referring to this release of PvP. He called it kind of phase 1.
Mm-hmm.
How does it feel to have the Sundered Isles operational now?
Oh, it's awesome. It's I didn't see it coming until I heard about the Metis deal, but being able to do another map expansions, we haven't touched the map in such a long time. That was the first time for SBD also to really kind of take over on map art. Before we had Cinnamon Bun who did all this Crystal Vale and Sarandale art. But SBD is such a talented artist. He could maintain the same style, add his own flavor to everything, and now having all the zones. Also I'd say as far as our zone art goes, we've really gotten very good at that too, and all of the characters that are in there. So
I agree. It feels they feel alive. Those zones feel
yeah.
they're. I can still remember the very original
right.
artwork. And it's it felt so so dated now when you look back at it.
Right.
If you see snapshots of it.
Oh,
These ones definitely feel alive with characters that have distinct personalities.
right.
And it was kind of funny. So Tango had 3D printed some of the like little bloaters and stuff.
Oh yeah.
We were joking with him too that he was saying, he's like, someone needs to help design the 3D model of the Coliseum and have like a table size Coliseum.
That would be
that
cool.
would be amazing.
That would be
really
so
cool.
awesome. I need to see a Sharkules and a Brocodile for sure. Those guys have quickly become fan favorites.
Really?
Oh yeah. Crocodile.
Yeah. So actually, now that I'm thinking about this and I got you on the spot here, SBD was talking about Brocodile, and you mentioned some concern that, how could a crocodile be out in the Sundered Isles where, there's no fresh water there, right?
They imported him.
Yeah, I love how you're making that work. Okay,
great.
so I want to talk about the match selection that's available now on Sundered Isles, like for PvP. You guys managed to find a way to pack a bunch of content all into this one release that wasn't there, while we were doing PvP testing. How'd you decide on having all that content?
I mean, I think we wanted to release something, a successful product with like a lot of meat to it. So we definitely wanted the influence system. We wanted to do have players be spectators. We wanted to kind of create that system of it being kind of an esports thing where you don't necessarily have to be a very competitive player to still be able to participate. We're kind of inspired by Karate Combat actually with their up-only voting that they do to kind of build our own system that works with influence. So yeah, it was a lot. There was a lot that we wanted to get done. There were some doubts that we weren't going to make it, but we all, like, the last month, it was, I think in the AMAs, I'm like, we're all working so hard, guys. Like, so
I love the influence system. It's kind of great. It kind of gives you that. It's like the armchair quarterbacks kind of thing. Like, hey, well, maybe I'm not going to fight, but I think this guy's clearly better. I kind of love that. It's a completely new dynamic that I don't think any of us in the community saw coming. Like, influence is a really cool system you guys have come up with. Do you know where was the inspiration? Like you said, was it kind of karate?
So we were trying to work out like how we could create something that would encourage like people to spectate. Like there were a lot of different ideas that we were kind of talking about, and it kind of like I had the idea of doing hero staking, and then like using our hero score system that we devised for Divine Essence,
Love it.
and using it there so we've already created a way to score heroes to an extent. I know there's always, oh, what about this thing or that thing that we didn't include, but I think we did it was a lot of work to get that system set up. So like being able to utilize it in this way, it opens a lot of doors for the future for us, and yeah, we just kind of combined all the ideas that we were having into the influence system that way. So.
Yeah, and it seems like you've got a nose specifically for anytime you have some sort of big release, there will be hero utility involved. And so like I love that concept where it's like, let's get some of these heroes doing something else, yet again, kind of paring down the pot, if you will. And in the concept where the influence like rolls over. So like you can't just accumulate an infinite amount of influence. Like, well done. I think it's for a version 1 sort of system. Awesome.
Well, thank you.
And I love the win-win of we're keeping heroes out of the summoning portal as well, and so that's going to help with the rest of the ecosystem. And that's something that we were hoping would come with travel, and so like this was kind of travel reimagined in a slightly different way. But yeah, that's great that there's not a summoning portal while you're staking your heroes. Or is it staking or is it
pledging?
Pledging. Yeah,
you're technically staking.
Yeah,
them, right?
So I mean, I very clever functionality there, and I love seeing some of that. At least that's been something we've been pitching for a long time. Of how do we keep these heroes out of the summoning portal? That's going to help with the hero population.
And I think Bolon said something like 200 maybe Gen Zeros were staked already.
I don't have updated numbers.
I think he said somebody individually put in 60 some.
I think it was that was Max Guerin. I think
so. So
he did like all of his.
Like that's a pretty sizable percentage of the Gen Zero population, especially when you consider how many are dormant, idle from people forgetting or moving on. So that's actually like that's going to have a significant impact down the road on population. And this is just one feature, right?
Right. Yeah. And I think as people, as it gets more popular, it's just going to keep adding. Like people are going to keep adding like I'm really pleased of how much it's being used, like how many people are actually sponsoring matches. We were a little concerned, like, is this just going to be like us sponsoring matches and that's all we're going to get? And I should say bouts, not matches, but like it seems like everyone's really enjoying it and using it, and like, you know, we still have more plans for more things to do. I think also when tournaments come out, like we do plan to be like sponsoring every bout in a tournament. So I think that should draw a lot of attention as well.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah.
Cool.
And for those of you joining us, you know, late here, we are doing audio only. I'm not really skilled enough to be wielding my phone around and then also passing the mic back and forth between 9 North here. So yeah, and unfortunately for you guys, you get to stare at a blank screen and until Crypto Kong helps me transform this video into something more beautiful.
He's got skills.
Yeah. All right. And so, okay, if phase 1 is, you know, private matches and PvP, what are you calling phase 2?
Phase 2 is tournaments. So that'll be just everything that we hosted tournaments, the tournament system in general, and everything that we kind of tie to that. And, you know, we do have some amount of time so before that is like contractually due to be done. So we're also trying to squeeze in some extra things as well in there. But those extra things are not phase 2. They're just things I want, basically. So.
Yeah. I mean, such as perhaps.
Well, we were playing a fun game last night at dinner where Hubert asked Zipper, like, hey, did you get the list of the things that I'm trying to sneak in? And I was like, ooh, do tell. And then I was like, okay, let's play a game. I'm going to guess some of these items on the list. And I was able, and it's also a caveat for you.
Yes.
It's a list of wants to have before this is out.
It's a wish list, not a requirement.
Or a plan or a roadmap. So
a will, not a shall.
I overfilled it too, like with things.
Well, I mean, I think that's great. I mean, having that vision of what we want to see for the future, and there's so many things. And so, like pet combat bonuses were in there,
right?
Divine essence, you know, so having that hero burning mechanic, having the equipment durability. That's one that I'm looking forward. I'm like one part looking forward to it because I know it's necessary for the ecosystem, and one part it like makes me nervous.
Right.
As I'm sure it does a lot of people. So
yeah, I get that.
What do you? But it's going to be kind of critical to the essence of where this game is going to go. So yeah, I mean, I'm really excited about these other features. You mentioned a surprise one to me. I think I can say this on stream. There's going to be a new pet burning mechanic, or there might be. I didn't hear anything else beyond that. Do you want to share anything now, or do you want to keep that under wraps for now?
Let me guess. They just age out and die.
That was a topic of discussion yesterday. Actually, it's like,
I was just guessing. I was not.
It wasn't. No, we're not planning on doing that. But it was kind of a funny discussion. It's like, yeah, if they go 6 months without being fed, they're just dead next time they get touched. It's like, yeah, that we could do that, and you know, we don't have durability for pets, so it's not. They don't age out in the same way. But I'm hopeful that with this new burn mechanic that we're going to be adding, and when we get to pet combat bonuses, like it will kind of introduce, I guess, more desire to like burn more pets. I mean, and hatch more pets too. Like I think with the pet combat bonuses, we have something like 79 different things that you can get. Not every pet even gets a pet.
Is that 69 or
79?
Okay.
We probably should just cut it down by 10.
At this point, you might as well go for 100. I'm amazed that is a ton of content.
It's a lot, yeah. And you know, I think a lot of the bonuses are going to be kind of situational ones. Like we kind of tried to like touch every single thing that we could with. It's like this one increases this one increases that. We have others that actually are like more reactionary. Like if this happens, that happens. And then we have a few that are activated abilities, like traits that you can get as well. So
do those? I mean, just on a complexity of implementation, some of those, is it just a lot of like single like checks in the combat engine? That doesn't add a lot of complexity to like say Solidity, right? Necessarily.
I mean, the complex part for Solidity is just rolling of them, and we just have to create the code to like
the different options it can roll.
These are the options you can get, and like create the tree and everything, which is not too bad to do.
Are the options, I assume they're weighted in some magic formula way, or
for pets actually we didn't do it that way.
Okay.
We did it all linear. So
nice.
like you know, you can get the worst or you can get the best outcome with the same odds, basically.
And I gotta assume it'll be like Professions, where there's some bonuses that only happen on mythic
Yes.
pets.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Like I'll just say the activated abilities are only mythic.
Oh, nice.
So,
Yeah.
So
Wow,
That
I mean,
seems
that could
mythic.
that can add in a whole nother dimension to the combat.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I could see a lot of people doing that, and also, you know, we cut down on egg production with the Profession Quest too. So
Boy, did you ever.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that should also, you know, encourage people to use the trade-in system to like get new eggs. So I'm hopeful that, you know, with these changes that it'll kind of help that ecosystem a bit.
Yeah, we're getting some commentary here on YouTube. Dank Nation saying, so nervous about durability. I hear you, man. I'm right there too. I think we all know it's necessary, but it makes us nervous. Sticks
Well-
Intern saying, I want speed pets.
So, you know, the durability, I feel like I was really nervous about having to spend and actually use real potions, and then I immediately forgot about it,
Right.
and I just do it now. So I
Yeah.
kind of feel like it'll be the same thing. The very first day, it's gonna be like, oh no, durability,
Right.
but then it'll just become commonplace, and I mean, it's healthy for the environment, so,
Right.
or ecosystem, rather.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you feel like durability and the divine essence creation have to really go hand in hand with the release, or?
I want them to, just so that the whole durability system is complete. Like without that restoration path, then it's like, okay, you can sit on this completely broken piece of equipment until we get divine essence,
Right.
or you can turn it into dust. And again, dust is just the term we're using. We don't. It'll probably be something different, maybe, but you know, that will be all you can do, really. So if we didn't have the restoration option, so I definitely want to
absolutely.
have it together.
Go to your next question.
All right, so switching gears a little bit, this is kind of a fun one that I wanted to ask. If you could snap your fingers and have a future DFK feature immediately released, what would it be?
Today, right now,
or maybe tomorrow.
And just only one feature,
Yeah.
just one.
Well, I'll let you define the bounds of what a feature is.
I mean, if I could combine two things, then I think it would definitely be travel and what we have been calling scrub fights, which is just another term that we're just using to describe something we're talking about.
So non-boss PvE, essentially.
Yeah. What you would expect in an RPG, where you go out in the field and you just go fight random things that are generally not very hard to beat, but, you know, collect a little bit of rewards and experience and just, you know, general consumable content that everyone can consume, kind of thing. And with travel as well, that gives us the opportunity to like put specific enemies in specific locations, have things that are harder be farther away, and like really start to create like a complete gameplay loop that we're almost there. I feel like that's the last piece, besides, you know, just add like more, like lands is also going to be a really important thing, and dungeons and things like that. But like once we have people moving around on the map, I think that's like the last like really big fundamental change that's going to happen. So
and that should let you just continue to lean into your combat engine, right? Because these fights will be, I mean, they'll be the engine that we're all starting to get really used to and kind of know and love. So, so that's actually pretty cool. Because I think, you know, given the complexities of gaming and designing games, like you don't want to necessarily, it's difficult to try to create yet another game for PvE.
Yeah, no, I definitely want to use the same engine and want there to be like low level content as well. So like, you know, we have those level 3 and level 6 items that you can buy on in the equipment shop. I want people shooting people with a stick and string. You know, I named that one, so I feel good about it.
That was great. The flint knife. I chuckled about the flint knife. Because I recently put, you know, I coded all of them up into the combat prep page on our site. And it was really fun, like going through and like reading the descriptions of them while I was putting them in there. I was really feeling it.
Yeah.
So Activice is asking, what does scrub fights look like? Is it like Void Hunts? It sounds a little different, but you're kind of saying it is using the Void Hunt combat engine. You're just fighting different enemies in that engine, lesser enemies.
Yeah, so I mean, I wouldn't call it the Void Hunt combat engine. I'd call it the combat engine.
Okay.
But,
fair.
But yeah, I mean, it is not going to be like Void Hunts in that everything is going to be like a super like fine-tuned battle where you're gonna like need to learn all the mechanics to even have a chance to win, kind of thing. It'll be more like really like any RPG from like the Super Nintendo era, where you just get a random encounter. Like something like that, except I would like it to be more of a kind of an endurance thing where it's not just one fight, but like it's
So
kind
it's like
of a,
how long you can stay out in the
yeah,
woods or in the tall grass.
right. And like the further you go, you might have special things you encounter and things like that. So I kind of like a little mini adventure type of thing.
That's kind of cool because I feel like you could make it so the player can decide, do they want to keep going one more room, so to speak?
Right.
And if you lose, you lose. But if you call it quits,
Yeah.
You get to take
really,
your gear out with you.
Yeah,
and
there'd be
you
some
would be
cool
using
things.
the same like potion inventory the whole time.
Oh,
So
nice,
like
nice.
you
Cool.
like if you go too far, you'd be out of potions. It's like, should I do this? I only have, and also your hit points and your mana points would also be carried over from fight to fight. So
So you got to lean into your basics if you can. Or
yeah,
hey, that seems like a good usage for a berserker. Then let's get him.
there you go.
Let's get him mad.
Right.
Oh, that's a perfect segue. So, Berserker has been, the target of some heat lately. So, not saying that it is going to be retuned, but kind of walk us through. You did some archer tuning recently. What's your generalized process for? Okay, so we're getting community feedback. You're getting data from the database in combat fights. How do you go? What's your process of going through? All right, we need to change this character. We need to increase their power or decrease their power. Walk us through what that looks like.
Yeah, so I mean, I do use a lot of feedback just as my guide, just because there's just so much to be working on all the time. Like I don't have like the time to do like models of everything, and like I think if there was time to do that, we probably could like come up with the most perfect numbers. So a lot of what it is like before we even release something, I have like Sashay and Winston doing a lot of tests and giving me feedback. And like Sashay comes up, he does a lot of trash talking too, but he comes up with a with like a tier list of skills for like a given
Trash
class.
talking, just extra.
It's good stuff. He does a lot of really cool memes. But like he'll come up with a tier list. Is like this skill is F and like this one's SS, and it's like, okay, I need to squish all of these into kind of the same-ish area. So I kind of use that as my guide to be like, okay, we need to make this skill better. We need to make this is too strong. And
so you're the professor setting the curve for this college course here, essentially.
Yeah, pretty much. And anytime things get out of hand, I'm like, all right, smash.
Yeah, nice.
We can't have all A's on this test.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable.
We need more F's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to actually backtrack a bit. I have a good question here from Mega. Who and what will be moving? I think he's talking about heroes moving around with lands. Are we moving around as a single commander, or are squads of heroes moving around in this travel?
It would be squads of heroes. So if you had enough heroes, you could have heroes in all of the regions. But they're already in Serendale, at least there already are defined regions that you can kind of see if you click on all the lands. Like it says what region they're in. But like we actually have like internally a kind of drawn out like borders and stuff of where regions are. But yeah, you'd be sending your heroes to different regions, and then the goal is to have various options of things you can do with your heroes in those places. Visiting the lands there eventually, doing the scrub fight stuff, and then also like even having profession quests move out. So like you can't just do level 10 profession quests just right in the central hub anymore. You have to go to where they are, and they might expire, and you have to move your guys around, things like that, or like other like level 20 and stuff like that being even further away. So
you're not gonna lie, when Raph and I sat down and decided to buy land, and we saw one that was in the region closest to the castle, we're like, that's the one.
Yeah.
Like we have no idea what that means, but like it just feels better for some reason.
Right.
I mean, so where I'm kind of going with this now is there's a great deal of elegance to like these kind of nested game loops of how you've designed this. And I feel like as I've been talking to new people here at Permissionless and trying to get them into the ecosystem, I'm trying to describe it by, at least from my perspective, I see like 3 game loops, but I feel like then there's game loops inside the game loops.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's potentially even new game loops with the travel being introduced. And so, I see hero creation as a game loop where some people play just to make better heroes. There's a game loop of player versus environment combat, which is questing, and then, the void hunts right now. And then there's the newest game loop of last week where it's player versus player combat.
Right.
And eventually with that tournament system, I mean, you could just play player versus player and buy items, and you don't have to go quest for them.
Right.
You might earn your money from going and fighting in combat, and then just using that to fund future purchases. So
Right.
do you see like this land and travel as a subset game loop of like player versus environment, or is it kind of more than that? Is it its own loop?
I suppose it will be kind of a new loop, considering that we don't have kind of the easy PvE content yet, and by allowing travel, it opens up the door for all sorts of different things, where we can have like a special event in a specific region that's happening, and you can go participate it right now, but it's ending in an hour, or like we could do like resource delivery missions where you have to go somewhere, pick up resources, and then you have to like do like a progression of fights as you're traveling to where you're delivering them to, things like that, and you have your own team like doing that protection stuff. And so like it really does open up a lot of doors for things we could do. All of these things are things we'd have to develop, and so that it like I say all this like don't think of this as like short term, because it all depends on our resources and like but we are making like we've put in so many fundamentals at this point. Like it's only a little bit more with like the really fundamental code before we are just like iterating and adding to what we already built, and not needing to build like a completely new system. So
that makes a lot of sense. And talking about going out in the map to fight an enemy in the environment, that PvE content,
right?
If say that becomes released and that's commonplace, it's not hard to imagine another system that just is the next progression. Which Skillet, our buddy, he plays a lot of Helldivers. It's a first-person shooter game, but the cool part about that is the game actually releases like community CVE. It's like community versus environment.
Mm-hmm.
So like they issue a challenge, like you got to go kill 6 million of these things in so much time.
Right.
Like that seems to me like that could be a system that you guys could just go launch, and it wouldn't be a huge add-on once you got PvE, and it would be huge for engagement and cooperation.
Yeah, I think there's at least one thing that I'd really like to do in the future, which would be like regions being invaded by enemies, right? And then
we'll love that.
Yeah, and like the lands that are there, the lands that are there are incentivized to protect their land, because there could be damage or consequences for failure and things like that. So
that's awesome.
So it'd be like, come people, help defend this area, and it could spread. Like I don't know if you guys have ever played the board game. Was it Pandemic?
Oh, I love Pandemic. Pandemic Legacy is one of my favorites.
Yeah, I had a really good time with that. The dispatcher guy is who I played, and that guy is OP.
The dispatcher, yeah, exactly, and the medic maxed out.
Oh yeah,
he's got when he goes into a new region and he cures everything.
Yeah,
using the dispatcher to drop him in. And,
right. It's
a combo move right there.
Yeah, that is a combo.
Those two really were like the pair. But in Pandemic though, there's like, if you don't cure a region fast enough and it fills up too much, then it like spreads to all the other regions. And so like that, we could do something like that too, or eventually. But
I love that, drawing on other games that you love and have played a lot of. It just makes sense, because like there's been so many wheels invented, so to speak, in gaming. It's just like, let's just grab the best parts of the wheels we love and just integrate them. That's a really cool concept.
Yeah, I think that's we try to be original in our own way, but we're from the era of like regular Nintendo and up. So like there's been so many games and so many different iterations of things at this point where it's kind of hard to be truly original anymore at this point. So.
And I think the magic sauce isn't necessarily the base idea; it's the the implementation of it and how it's delivered. And, and I think that's where it's like you guys have done a good job of polishing it and trying to like make a cohesive. And it seems like your own, whether it's completely original or not. I feel like it's not necessarily important. It's the delivery.
We give it its own personality.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, we're out here at the show. There was a little bit of alpha release. Can I talk about what we saw on the board?
Okay.
The poster. So you're working on a hero honor and what's it called? Honor and what system?
So on the board it says something
Honor and
along-
glory and honor.
Glory and honor.
Yeah.
It says something like that on the board. That's true.
Yeah, and can we go into this at all, or is this for another AMA?
Those terms are being used often internally.
Good. It's exciting.
They might not end up being something that becomes real in the outside world, but they might. I think actually, if you look at I guess I can say that if you look at like the input data to creating about right now, like there is one setting that says something about glories in it. So like, I guess I can say, yeah, there's something there.
Cool.
There's something we're planning on. I hope it will be successful, but it's also going to be a little bit of an experiment. Like we'll have to, see how it plays out, see how people use it. And kind of evolve it over time, I think, based on feedback. So but yeah, there's something that we're working on, and I think I hope to do it sooner rather than later, but again,
Awesome.
it's hard to say.
Oh yeah, there's so much going on. One item that I wanted to talk about that was related to tuning. I think I said this at dinner last night. I can't remember, but I thought the way that you guys, it was when I was talking to some folks about game balance, and the way that you guys approached the changes with the Gorbo.
Mhm.
I thought that was, Nindorf, you're saying there's a lot of these, it's not like reinventing the wheel, but I thought that was a clever and elegant solution to the way that you can approach Web3. And by that, I mean, like, instead of nerfing the bow, which is what would have happened in Web2, instead you said, we're sunsetting the drop of this item, and we're creating a new item that is more tuned, I assume,
Right.
to what you were expecting, or where you wanted things to go. That created an immense amount of value in the Gorbos that are there. So people who are Gorbo owners should be happy, and it creates a new item that will bring more balance into the ecosystem. Kind of walk through, how did you guys come up with that idea or that concept? I mean, it would have been far easier to say, we're just going to nerf the archer again. But
Right.
instead, this was like the clever solution.
Yeah, so I mean, we at some point along the way we came up with the idea of having like a speed setting on weapons. Not initially, but like as we were doing, I think Berserker it was. Like Berserker was just too strong with that axe. The axe was too strong, and it's like, okay, we need to, like, what can we do? We can lower the numbers, but like that's not cool. And I guess probably what went through my mind at that time was like, I don't know if you guys have played Monster Hunter, but in the Monster Hunter series, like you can choose different weapons, and they have like big weapons that are just generally like they do a lot of damage,
Harder
but
to wield,
they're
yeah.
slow. Like it's like your one swing, if you miss it, you miss doing a lot of damage. But if you hit it, it does a ton. So I was like, we can create that by introducing a speed system. And one of the issues was just like Archer itself was really overtuned in the beginning, and like we could keep nerfing its different skills, but it just felt like it's a two-handed weapon. And I think it makes sense to give it a speed debuff.
Conversely, daggers have a speed buff to them.
That's true, and gloves too.
What's that?
The
gloves.
fist weapons.
The gloves too. Yeah. So that was kind of neat. We weren't expecting to see those other items get dropped.
Yeah.
And it kind of gives a little insight into maybe how those classes might play, or how you're looking at those weapons. Can you talk through the speed boost on the gloves and the knife?
Yeah, so I mean, I said I didn't have like models, but that's not necessarily true. I did actually like build a damage calculator to like really like we need to know like damage per tick is like the DPT is what we really need. So I do have the tool that I made for that, and so like in tuning things, it's like, okay, if we have this speed buff with a dagger, and also it has like a critical hit buff as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So like I included also critical hits. It's like, okay, what's the DPT if we include like all average odds, like, and okay, and then I also have like a bunch of different hero stats, and I can select, okay, a high luck hero versus a high strength hero versus all this stuff, and it changes everything.
So when's that tool going to be available for us?
I mean, you guys could make your own. It's not that I guess you need to know all the math, but we have given all the
pretty
math.
much. I was going to say I'm pretty sure we could make this tool.
Yeah. The how to break the game tool.
Right. Yeah.
That's awesome. Neindorf, I think that covered all of my questions, I think. What other questions do you have?
Just trying to think. I gotta hound Mr. Zipper again. I've been asking him for the stats on the level 1 gear.
Oh, okay.
Because I want to know how much better the level 3 is than the level 1. Because the combat prep page is kind of fun because you go play around like what is a dagger like on my super strong warrior. I'm like, oh
yeah,
he's way less damage but way faster. I'm like, the level 1, I need some data. I gotta get some data.
Yeah, we should. I mean,
Do you have names for the level 1 gear?
Yes,
Scrub. Like
it's all like ancient something
rusty,
or rusty something.
Okay, cool,
but, yeah.
sweet. So you guys actually do have
there are names, yeah, but they're not like actual NFTs.
No.
So like, I guess that makes it a little bit. It's probably just something we overlooked as far as like putting it easily visible.
Very nice.
But yeah, I mean, I have those stats somewhere online, and yeah, I would like them to be displayed. I wonder. I would assume that they are at least displayed. You can see what your damage is if you don't have equipment in and you go into a fight. I think it will show you those things, but it might not like necessarily tell you all the stuff. Like your strength will give you this much damage until your strength is, or like, it has a cap. You can get 10 extra attack from strength or something like that. So I will say those are they're very weak.
Oh yeah,
they're very weak. They have.
Yeah, I accidentally went into a battle with them today. Well, it was awkward.
So yeah, I may or may not have the thing that auto starts my hunts for me because otherwise I don't remember what teams I have. I forget who's who. And I went in after that 7 o'clock and I'm like, let's fight one. And I was like, I had to go in and forfeit like 8 matches because it was like I'm just gonna get destroyed with no gear. So that was automation is great until it bites you.
Right.
So that was pretty funny though to see the Berserker was normally doing like 140 damage to do 37 damage. I was like, oh
no.
I
probably taking a lot of damage too. Also,
oh gosh, yes.
Yeah.
So that was a fun little oopsies.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Hubert, thank you for your time today. Very gracious of you to, sit down, chat with us, step away from the booth, get off the hard concrete floor and get on some comfy couches here. And I'm sure the community, those that we have a bunch of people tuning in right now. Thank you guys for tuning in. And, thank you guys who are out there listening to this after the fact, after it goes live. We appreciate you guys, and I know that's one thing I heard from the dev team all week long. It's just like, thank you. We appreciate that. So I just wanted to echo that thanks and share that with all of our listeners out there.
Yeah, I mean, as one of the devs, I can definitely say, we wouldn't be around if it weren't for our community. Like you guys are who have sustained us and kept us going, and your enthusiasm has really been energizing at times when it's been very dark for some of us. I know I went through a pretty long period of depression during 2 years ago. So and it was reading comments from the community and seeing them getting excited. Every time anyone does a stream about the combat engine, I usually want to be able to listen in. I can't always catch them all, but
there's a lot of content.
There is, but I always enjoy it. I always appreciate that so many people are creating things and are helping others that are trying to join. I do recognize that it is a pretty complicated game, and that a lot of that's my fault. But
I heard someone say that they were gonna maybe put together a intro, new guides or video walkthrough.
Winston's working on that.
Is that Winston? Yeah. Okay.
Oh, go. Yeah. So I think Winston's been working on some things. I know that I've seen some community members have been doing some things lately too.
I saw Renpen make some things.
Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome. So
because we're not good at that, we forget all the things that we're just assuming people already know sometimes. And so it'll be great to get that content for hopefully some of these new people we can hook, line, and sinker here.
Right. Yeah, and we're trying with the PvP system to really introduce ways to at least easily get into the combat engine. So there's a lot of different things that we're hoping to keep pushing towards getting out, and just making it easier for everyone. I think I sometimes I'm someone who plays MMOs. I played Final Fantasy 11. I play 14 now, and like those games are not simple. They are not simple at all. They have so many systems in them, so many different things that you just kind of learn as you play. And you know, I think the one thing we're missing is that we don't have a starting place for people. It's like everything all at once. So you know, I think with scrub fights, when we can get to doing that, we can introduce level 1 content. You can start doing like, you know, you only have 1 skill plus basic attack and your traits, and
Yeah.
you know, we can get there. So anyway, sorry, I know you're trying to close it off and keep going, but
We'll keep you here all day if we can.
Whoops.
But yeah, thank you all for your patience. Thank you all for your, you know, all of your enthusiasm and support. And you know, I'm really excited for this new feature of PvP we've released, and I hope that you guys are all enjoying it and excited for what comes in the future.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Hubert. Thank you, Neindorf. That's a picture of my coffee cup. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll catch you later.